Baruch Ata Asher Anat Malacha Alam Asher Kedishani Mitzvotav Etzivani V'Yitativ Latzitzit. Abby. Hi. How are you? Your life is different than when I met you. We don't see each other as often, but you're here right now. What's going on in your part of the world? How are you doing? Good morning, Powell. You're here and there. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that you're over there too, but right now, I'm glad that you're here. I did have a very nice weekend, Paul. I had a really nice, slow day yesterday. Didn't do all that much, but I had a good time. Thanks for asking. How was your weekend? What did you get up to? Shema Israel Asher Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. Vahafta et Anat Elohecha ובכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאוהות על ידיך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתן על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך וחיה כי יביאך אלוהיך אל הארץ אשר נשבע לאבותיך לאברהם ליצחק וליעקב לתת לך ערים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית ובתים מלאים כל טובה אשר למילאת וברות הטובים אשר לא עשת כערים וזיתים אשר לא נתת והלכת ושבעת הישמר לך פן תשכח את יהוה אשר תישך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. Good morning, Dr. Punk. Good morning. So, I don't know if you can see with the number of pixels that little Ouroboros GIF has, but there are words in there, right? It says in Hebrew, Yahweh Echad, which is the central thesis of that prayer, right? Yahweh being the old forbidden name of an old volcano god, or a storm god, right? Some god from the southern Levant in the desert. And the claim is that Yahweh Echad, Yahweh is one. Here, let me show you an image. I don't know if I've shown some of you, right? Because I say the same things every morning, but sometimes I say different things. Let me go get a book and let me show you the origin of that image because I've modified it a little bit, but I did not invent it. I'll be back in 20 seconds. Not even 20 seconds. How long was that? You recognize one of the letters words? Yeah, which one? The Tetragrammaton? The one that says Yahweh? The original image was not the text was not written in Hebrew. The text was written in Greek. It's an image from Alexandria in Egypt, Roman Egypt, in the 2nd century AD, made by an alchemist who went by the name of Cleopatra. Thank you, Erica. I've been wearing black a lot more often, in large part because that's what's in my clothes hamper. It's a little silly and embarrassing, but I went to a funeral 3 weeks ago, and I had to gather all of my black clothes, and then when I got home, I didn't do laundry. I just put it all in my hamper, and so I keep on re-wearing the black clothing. Maybe I'm in a kind of depressed mood. I don't know. My mental health is up and down. In any case, Shana Tova. Yes, it is the new year. I don't actually celebrate Rosh Hashanah. I'm a little embarrassed to admit that. I wish that I could, but I don't actually have a Jewish community to celebrate that holiday with, right? Y'all are my religious community. And our repertoire is actually extremely limited, right? We say the same 3 prayers every day. We express ourselves in what we wear subconsciously, yes. My life is really boring right now. I'm working on my thesis all the time, and so I wish I had more energy. But yeah, so black feels fitting to me right now. In any case, here's the original image, right? You can see it's a little bit different than what I have on my... can I even see? Yeah, there it is. It's a little bit different from what I have on my arm, and there's the Greek, and the Greek says all is one, right? Which is basically the same thing as what that GIF is that I put the Hebrew in, and then this is what's on my arm. I chose not to put any text on my hand because I thought it might constrain the meaning of the symbol a little bit too much, because sometimes I think the symbol means all is one, but sometimes I think it means, like, you know, anal sex is good, or something weird like that. In any case, that's the origin of that GIF. It's not a GIF. That little emoji that you are so kind to introduce yourself with. Why did I go to all that pains to just explain that? I don't know, because I did. What is my take on Yin Yang? I mean, it's the same symbol, right? It's from a different culture. I don't know that much about ancient China. Good morning, Savannah. How are you? But it basically means the same thing, right? Unification of opposites, as above, so below, right? That's from the Emerald Tablet. There are a lot of different ways of expressing the same idea, and you see the idea expressed around the world in different forms, and we can ask ourselves a question about whether it is convergent evolution, or whether it is vertical descent, right? Do we see all of these symbols in different traditions because people independently came up with this same notion that the infinite is total and complete and unitary, right? Or was this an idea that we see in, I suppose, ancient Babylon, and then spread out with the spread of language, right? These are the two potential evolutionary theories that they're testable, right? Like we can do linguistic analysis, and we can do cultural history, and we can say, oh, does the yin yang have anything to do with this symbol evolutionarily, right? Did it, or does it just happen to be similar because there's some pattern in the world that people were noticing, and so they converged on the same concept? Maybe that's a little tedious, right? Like, that's just the biologist in me thinking that that's a relevant question. Did you inherit this symbol, or did you come up with it on your own? I don't know. But certainly I believe that the Greek that I just showed you that said all is one is directly related, right? Like on the same sort of phylogenetic map as the Hebrew prayer that we say every morning. Yahweh Echad. All is one. Yahweh and El are the same God. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm in a good mood today. I had a nice morning with my partners. Yeah, when you see me every day, you do get a read on my mood, and sometimes I find that a little disconcerting, like when people are like, oh, you look tired, or you look sad, or you look flat, because sometimes they say that when I don't feel that way, but sometimes I do feel that way, right? Like, so there's this funny thing, right? I'm on the internet, and I'm here for all of you to give me your perceptions of me, and so you perceive and reflect my emotional well-being. It's normal to not be so energized. I have less energy in my life now than I ever remember having. And it makes me worry that I'm getting older, and I'm getting boring, because I'm tired all the time. But yeah, I'm quite happy to be here with you all today. I enjoy you all very much. So, empathetic? Who's empathetic? Are you empathetic? Am I empathetic? I try to be empathetic. I don't know what empathy is. Sometimes empathy can hurt you. Anyhow, I guess that's our prayer analysis for the morning, right? Talked about how all is one, and how that idea has spread across human history. It's probably sufficient. I don't need to translate the Hebrew for you. I've done that plenty of times. But hi, good morning. Here we are together in this same digital place. My headscarf keeps falling off, but here we are. So we're going to continue reading from this story about Atrahasis, right? And where we left off. Dr. Punk, were you here last time? I think you were. I kept on promising you that there would be a flood, and finally there was a flood. Do I celebrate the harvest? I mean, I harvest. I live on a farm, and it's absolutely harvest season right now. The tomatoes are popping, and the grapes are coming in, and there's apples and watermelons. Yeah, this is the time of year where we get fresh fruit from our land, and that's pretty special. Yeah. Stinky Cats, you can figure it out for yourself. You let me know what you think. Dr. Punk says, yes, it's flood time. It's flood time. So we started Tablet 3 yesterday, and in Tablet 3, the gods, so we've got Enlil and Enki, right? So there's fruit time. Yes, it's fruit time, because I'm a big fruit. Yeah, it's watermelon sweater weather, is what my partner says, because we live in a cold climate, and so when watermelons come, that's when you know that it's time to put on your warm clothes, which is a little embarrassing, right? Watermelons aren't really meant to grow here. You're supposed to eat watermelon in the summertime. But for us, it's watermelon sweater weather. So, this story, there's always a series of oppositions, right? So in the beginning, there was this opposition between the Anunnaki and the Igigi gods, right? And the Igigi gods were oppressed, and so they complained, and then they made humans to dig out the riverbeds, and that original motif, digging out the riverbeds, is now coming in full force as we get to the flood. So the opposition now isn't between the Anunnaki and the Igigi, but rather between Enlil and Enki. Or rather, Eliel and Enki. I don't know how to pronounce these gods' names. Eliel. Yes, it's Eliel, not Enlil. Eliel wants to destroy everyone with a giant flood after he caused a terrible drought. And Enki's like, no, come on, dude. That's not okay. Like, humans are nice. And so Enki goes and talks to Atrahasis, and he's like, dude, you should build an ark. Like, it's going to be a really good idea. Take apart your house. Like, take all of the wood, take all of the thatch, and use it to build a giant ark, because there's going to be a terrible flood. And Atrahasis is like, okay, I guess I'll do that. And that's where we left off, and so that's where our story will begin today. Thus, when the first sign of dawn appeared the next day, the elders assembled together the entire people there, the carpenter with his axe, the reed worker with his stone. The young children came with the stalks of bitumen. The poor folks fetched everything else that was required. On the 5th day, he was able to lay out the frame's form. It spanned over the area of an acre, with walls 10 poles high. Everybody's commenting on my energy level. I guess I'm hyper today. I don't know why my mood fluctuates. I wish I had this much energy all the time. Good morning, Teresa. How are you? On the 5th day, he was able to lay out the frame's form. It spanned over an area of an acre, with walls 10 poles high. Then he designed its form, drew out the plan for her decks. To feed the workmen every week, he slaughtered an ox. To feed them every day, he slaughtered a fine, fat sheep. Wow, it's a lot of meat. Giving them ale and beer as if there were no tomorrow. pouring out oil and wine to the workers as if it were water. Every day was like a feast at the New Year's Day festival. When the sun appeared on the final day, he gave them balm. By the time the sun had set, that day the boat was complete. Everything that inhabited the meadows he brought in. Everything that inhabited the wild spaces he brought in. Pure ones and impure ones, tall ones and short ones, fat ones and skinny ones, large ones and small ones. He chose from among these and put them all aboard the boat. Birds that are in the skies, the moaning cattle of Shakan, the savage beasts that roam throughout the wild expanses, he chose from among these and put them aboard the boat. He took with them every manner of skilled craftsmen. So the story is a little bit different than Noah. We don't get these 2x2, two of everything. And he's not just taking his family, because Atrahasis is not a xenophobe like Noah. He took with him every manner of skilled craftsmen. And he brought all of his people together within his barn, inviting them to join him before disembarking to feast. They were settled when he sneaked his family on board. While they were all eating and while they were drinking, he did not keep still, but kept going out and coming back in. He was crushed, his heart was breaking, he was vomiting. Then the cast of the sky altered, and the clouds rumbled. When he heard that sound, he closed up the door with pitch. During that entire span, as he was sealing around the door, he could hear the storm god booming within the clouds. The winds whipped around the ship, even as he climbed up. When he cut through the mooring rope and freed his boat, the next day there came lowering gray clouds over the sky. An ominous gloom arose and approached like a tempest, and an unnatural darkness prevailed over the landscape. This brought the Anzu bird forth, flapping and screeching. Overhead the sky resounded. All of the people gazed aloft. Anzu was screeching at heaven with his fearsome claws. Lightning blazed the sky, an earthquake struck the land. He broke through the firmament and formed a gaping hole, and from this hole in the firmament a torrent's fury poured. The flood weapon was unleashed upon the people like a war. They lost sight of one another within that cascading rain. Huh. Thank you, Teresa. I guess we should keep going. We're at a very exciting time. The storm surge roared like a charging, bellowing bull. The wind sounded like a howling ass in the wilderness. Thick dark enveloped the entire earth. The sun was not seen. The people became like white sheep offering to the gods. Every one of them was consumed by a turbulent purge. Even the gods were alarmed by the full force of the flood. They retreated to the safety of the highest heaven, Anu, where they cowered like dogs from the crash of the deluge. The flood surge wreaked havoc, was raging out of control. Anu lost his mind. The gods, his sons, shook around him. The lips of the great mother goddess Nintu were salty. All of the gods, the Anuna, were left hungry and thirsty. But the divine midwife, wise Mami, gazed out and cried, "Bring sunlight back to them so that they might see." How could I, within the very assembly of the gods, how could I ever have consented to their destruction? Eliel had callous enough nature to command this evil. He should have withdrawn that command, like Tiruru. They lash out with anguished curses directed at me. Now they have become like white lambs of sacrifice, beyond my control. For how could I live with this loss? My busy din upon the earth has been reduced to silence. What I must do? Must I hide myself beyond the sky? To live evermore in a cloister, cut off from my kith? With what reason, then, did Anu accept this decision? It came about from the command of his obedient sons. He didn't deliberate the matter. He just ordered a flood and brought the people to a sad and sorry destruction. He conspired to bring about their pitiless decimation. Now their shining faces will never again see the light. And with that, we will conclude our reading for the day until we get to tomorrow, when we will find out how the flood concludes. Tree is alive. Will you tell me your name? Because I haven't been to Quink since, 2017, 2018? Maybe it was 2019. I can't remember. I've only been to Quink once. And I'm not really associated with any of the organizers of that festival anymore. But you recognize me, even though when I was at Quink I looked quite different. But I don't actually know who you are. I can see there's a human on a dock, but it's very tiny. No, I did not make the Quink video this year. Yes, I was asked to help make it, and I said, no, I'm sorry. I'm too busy. But I find it interesting that you recognize me in this very different context. Here we are together, connected by the internet, for some reason. We must know each other. It's true, we must. So, eating today. Yeah, I do have some rice in the rice cooker. I'm waiting for Rachel to come back, but she indicated that she does not want to eat rice with me today, so maybe I will eat rice alone. I do want some water, though. I'm thirsty. I'll be back in 1 second. 1 second. Water time. Now it's time for Arati. What is it? What is Quink? Quink is a festival that was organized by some people that are that live in communes that are affiliated with my communes. It's in Virginia. I live in New York, but Quink is in Virginia, and I used to spend a lot more time in the Virginia communes back when I was a different person and my priorities were different. And I don't think I will ever go back to visit any of those communes because I'm a little fed up with communes. But it's an interesting festival. Quink is a word. The tagline is that Quink is the opposite of trauma. Which is what it is, but like basically trauma is like this thing that happens to you and it scars your brain and you're a changed person forevermore because of some usually terrible thing, or like the way that Quink defines trauma is always a terrible thing. So Quink is like a positive trauma. So like when you fall in love for the first time and you're like, you change and you're like, whoa, what was that? I'm a different person. I see the world differently, right? So it's brain scars, but brain scars that you like instead of brain scars that you don't. It's an interesting concept. I feel like the word trauma could be used for both positive and negative, right? I think trauma is just a neurological pattern. We don't need to give it a valence. But like certainly the word trauma, the way that most people understand it, means bad, right? Means injury. I'm always happy to see you too, Shannon. How are you doing this morning? So, shall we continue on? As we move through our morning prayer sequence, today it's time for Arati. Today, right now it's time for Arati. So Arati means flame, and here we have our little candle flame, lamp oil. Arati means light or flame. Night shift. What kind of work do you have? You work at a hospital. So when we say Arati, we remind ourselves that light is what we are made of, right? And that this little source of energy is reflected in everything else in the world, right? And I could tell you some things about astronomy and right how supernovas created all of the matter heavier than iron and blah 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 blah. But I actually prefer to keep it more metaphorical, right? We are made of energy because we are. Don't need a physicist to tell me. And so Arati, the words in Arati, Jai just means Jai. It means praise. And so we will praise the light and remind ourselves of the names of various gods, many of whom we know nothing about. And yet, when we say the syllables, simply by the act of saying them, we connect ourselves to a very big and vague idea that can be expressed in any number of languages and cultures. You're welcome, Dr. Punk. And thank you, Georgie. I guess, as reflected by all of the people in this room and the nice things that you say, and also the numbers in the chat, clearly I must have higher energy today. I must have more charisma or something, right? Like, clearly I'm in a good mood. And this is reflected by both the symbols that you give me and the numbers that TikTok gives me. So that says something. I'm not sure what it says. Oh, like maybe I have a chronic mental illness, or I really don't like my job, and so my energy is usually very low, except for strange random flukes. I don't know. But yeah, I am in a good mood today, and I appreciate that you noticing. I don't celebrate Rosh Hashanah. The extent of my celebration of Rosh Hashanah is talking about Rosh Hashanah on this stream and bemoaning the fact that I'm not actually part of a Hebrew congregation, a Jewish congregation, and also I eat some apples and honey. One day when I am no longer a graduate student right? When I no longer am employed by the university and I can spend my time engaging in other ways and looking in other places, I will find a Jewish community to be a part of. And I have set that intention for myself for years. And it's just, time moves at its own pace and progress happens at its own pace. But yes, I really wish I could celebrate Rosh Hashanah with other people who thought similarly to me. But that's why we're here together. That's why we're here together. Good Yontif. Shana Tova. So, Arati. The word Arati means light or flame in Sanskrit. And Jai means Jai. Jai means Jai! Right? You don't need to translate that. And here's how the prayer goes. Jaya Jaya Arati Vina Vinayaka Vina Vinayaka Shri Ganesha Jaya Jaya Arati Subramanya Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jaya Arati Venugopala Venugopala Venuola Papa Vidura Navanita Chora Jaya Jaya Arati Venkanta Ramana Venkanta Ramana Sankata Harana Sita Rama Radhe Shama Jaya Jaya Arati Gauri Manohara Gauri Manohara Bhavani Sankara Sambasada Shiva Uma Maheshwara Jaya Jaya Arati Raja Rajeshwari Raja Rajeshwari Tripura Sundari Mahalakshmi Mahasaraswati Mahakali Mahashakti Jaya Jaya Arati Anjaneya Anjaneya Hanumanta Jaya Jaya Arati Dattatreya Dattatreya Trimutriya Vatara Jaya Jaya Arati Adityaya Adityaya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Arati Sanischaraya Sanischaraya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Arati Sankaracharya Sankaracharya Advaita Gurave Jaya Jaya Arati Sadgurunata Sadgurunata Shivananda Jaya Jaya Arati Vishnu Devananda, Vishnu Devananda, Vishnu Devananda, Jaya Jaya Arati Agastya Munaye, Agastya Munaye, Shirama Priyaye, Jaya Jaya Arati Ayapa Samine, Dharma Shastave, Jaya Jaya Arati Jesus Gurave, Moses Gurave, Buddha Gurave, Jaya Jaya Arati Muhammad Gurave, Guru Nanak Gurave, Samastya Gurubho Namaha. Jaya Jaya Arati Venugopala Natatra Suyobati Natandrakara Tamnima Vidyobati Kutaya Magni Twameva Bantamanamanti Sarvam Dasya Basya Samidamivanti Gange Kayamane Kaiva Govari Saraswati Narmade Siddhikaveri Namastitam Namo Namaha Twameva Mata Chapita Twameva Twameva Bandisha Saka Twameva Twameva Vidya Dravinam Twameva Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Kayena Vacha Manasindriyarva Buddhyat Manava Prakrite Sabhavad Karumyadyad Mangalam Parasmahe Narayana Iti Sarmar Payami Savadamam Pavichayam Amikam Savanamaja Amsva Sarvapapayo Mokshayami Masucha. Whatever actions I perform with my body, speech, mind, senses, my nature, my intellect, or my emotions. I can't get this to stay on. All these, I dedicate to you, to all of you. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and yesterday, and tomorrow. And for being in this community with me, for making this community with me. Yes, during the Arati prayer, I am listing different god names, gods and gurus. Yes, it's Sanskrit. Specifically, it's an excerpt from the Bhagavad Gita, which is a 2,000-year-old text from India. But this particular version of the prayer was modified by the Shivananda tradition. So Shivananda is a guru, and so if you listen carefully, you hear me repeat the name Shivananda a handful of times, and the name Vishnu Devananda, who was his acolyte, his inheritor, right? And they also, because they were specifically trying to take this Brahmanic tradition and bring it to America, they also inserted the names of global prophets, right? So Jesus Gurave, Moses Gurave, Buddha Gurave, Muhammad Gurave, Guru Nanak Gurave, right? So the main prophet of Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, Sikhism, right? So what I like about this prayer is that even though it's clearly rooted in a Hindu tradition, right, in a Brahmanic tradition, it comes from an Indian sacred text. It's extremely inclusive, right, which is not at all like those other Hebrew prayers that I say, which are deliberately exclusive, right? Even though they have this thing like Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad, all of their prayers are about how you should only worship one God, right? And all those other peoples, they're all dumb and they're oppressing you, and you should stay away from them because they're dangerous and blah blah blah, right? So I include the Sanskrit with the Hebrew because I feel like they need to, their cultural traditions need to balance one another, right? I don't actually want to be espousing any kind of xenophobia in my ritual work, and so I say Arati because it's very beautiful and very inclusive, right? So yes, I'm listing different names of gods, Teresa. Just how when we read the Enuma Elish, we are listing different names of gods and saying what they did, right? Like Enki is very compassionate and gives information to Atrahasis so that he can survive, whereas Eliel is terrible and destructive, and right. So we have these gods with different faces and different names and different properties, and some of them are xenophobic and terrible, and some of them are inclusive and wonderful. And whether xenophobia is terrible and whether inclusivity is wonderful is my own personal bias, and you don't need to share that bias, right? They're all just names. They're all just syllables, right? They all point at something bigger than any syllable could point to, right? They point to something bigger than they can point to. That's a paradox for you. My lives are your favorite safe space after therapy. Gosh, wow. You know, I had a therapy session last week and it went terribly, and I was depressed for like 2 days afterwards. So like, yeah, I know how raw you can be after therapy. Solstice wish. I really appreciate hearing that. It's water. It's just water. So, up. Okay, I have to go soon. But, there's one more prayer before I go. Prayer is Kaddish. Yes, I drink the blood of goats. I have, actually, right? We do goat slaughter here, and sometimes, like, I've made blood pudding. It's not bad. I'm a weirdo. But, you know, it didn't used to be weird to drink goat blood. Like, it's a very important nutritional source for ancient people. Anyhow, now it's grief time, as Dr. Punk likes to say. It's time for Kaddish. So the word Kaddish doesn't mean grief, it means holy. In Hebrew, Kadosh specifically. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Say the angels on Yahweh's throne, according to the apocalyptic prophet Isaiah, who saw the destruction of his ancient city of Jerusalem. In any case, Kaddish means prayer, right? We say Kiddush over the wine on Shabbat. But the most common Kaddish that people say in America is the mourner's Kaddish, I'm sure. And the words aren't actually words of grief. If you read the translation, it's something not that pleasant, right? I was just talking about how Hebrew prayers are very exceptionalist, right? So it's like, God is great, God is the best. May he rule in his kingdom in heaven forever and ever and ever. But what I like about praying in Hebrew is that you don't actually have to interpret the language literally in order to find meaning in the text, right? There's meaning that can be found just from the musical phonetic sound of the syllables themselves and the meaning that we have socially placed into the text. So the text is not about grief at all. And yet, it's a prayer of grieving. And I think that's interesting. I think that's quite beautiful. So, if there's anything that you are grieving, anything that you are mourning, anything you are trying to release from your life, but you're still holding on to in your mind, we can say Kaddish for those things. Because grief is a public emotion, right? It is processed through expression. So we will grieve together by saying these very, very old words. Sound like this. Vidkadal, vidkadash shemei rabba. Biama divrachyote viamlich malchote. Bachayachon viamechon v'chayede kol be Israel. Bagala bisman kari vimru. Amen. Yehe shemei rabba mevarach li'olam on mei on maya. Vitbarach vishtabach vitbar vi'erlam vitnaseh vitadar vitaleh vitalal shemei dekudisha berechu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tush berchata v'nechemata. Jamiran biama vimru. Amen. Yehe shlamar rabba min shemaya v'chayim alinu v'yochol Yisrael vimru. Amen. Ose shalom vimru huya ase shalom. Alenu v'yochol Yisrael vimru. Amen. Oh, say shalom bimramav, huya say shalom aleinu, v'ya lechol Yisrael, v'imru, v'imru, amen. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me here today. If you appreciate this work that we do together, if you find this space to be meaningful and valuable in your lives, one really good way that you can show its value to you or to me is by checking out the links in my bio. You can support this stream through Patreon or through a one-time tip. There's links for both of those in my profile. Or you can subscribe on TikTok if you want to post little goat emojis like Dr. Punk has so kindly done. Ghost emojis and Ouroboros emojis, right? It's quite a value proposition. But y'all's support of this stream, it means so much to me, right? Like, this is the work that I want to be doing. This is the work that I find fulfilling, and I hope you find it fulfilling too. And right now, my life is such that I can only devote, half an hour a day to this work. I'm not making any films right now. I'm working on a very tedious research project because that's what's required of me. But one day I do hope to turn to this work full time. And your support here and now makes a huge difference. So thank you. Yeah. So I have 20 minutes. Or 18 minutes. I stream every day, Batya. Every day. Or nearly every day. So I have, 17 minutes now, before I have to meet with my lawyer to figure out a lease agreement for this property. Because living on a commune is complicated. We don't own the land. Instead, we have to make complicated legal arrangements with everyone. But I am hungry, so I'm going to go get some rice and some seaweed. And I can snack with you for another 15 minutes or so. Before Rachel comes in and we have to do some legal work. So I will be right back. Give me 3 seconds. Shana Tova. Happy Rosh Hashanah. Erica, you don't like the seaweed? You bought a pack and you're like, nah, that's no good. It's not worth it. That's fair. It's not for everyone. I eat it because I need a lot of fiber. I can't keep fresh greens in my room. And, so because I can't keep fresh greens in my room, instead... Oh gosh, there's all this oil. Instead, I keep seaweed. It's good to see you too, Kimmy. Have a lovely day. What are you up to today? You have to run. You're not going to tell me, but I hope you have a lovely day. I wish I were a magician. I wish I were a magician. I wish I were a priestess. I wish I owned a chocolate factory. Gosh, I like rice. Rice is just good. It's good. It's good for you. It's filling. Have you ever tried teriyaki flavored seaweed? I mean, probably. This has salt on it, and I often eat soy sauce. Good morning, Yackers. Good morning, Danny girl. It's been so long. Is Charlotte your kiddo? Thanks, Dr. Punk. I haven't, formally celebrated Rosh Hashanah in a very long time. Because I'm not part of any formal Jewish community. I wish I was. But I live in the middle of nowhere, and there aren't that many Jews around me. And, I'm sure I could find some online communities. But my life just doesn't fit it right now. This is my spiritual practice. With you in the mornings. And maybe one day it will be different. I sincerely hope that one day it will be different, right? I was just talking about this. I just say the same things, right? So here, I'm on this morning ritual stream, and I pray, pray every morning that I could be spending my full day doing this instead of just half an hour. Yes, I would like to be a professional religious person, whatever that means. But no, I don't celebrate Rosh Hashanah right now. And I'm a little sad about that. A chocolate factory would be dope, wouldn't it? I have some friends that run a peanut butter factory. They give us nice peanut butter. Gypsy Moon. Hey there, Gypsy Moon. I don't know. I guess when I think about the kind of religious person I would like to be, for whatever reason, when Hocus Pocus was invoked, I thought of Willy Wonka. I am a bit of a strange entertainer. But here we are. The stream is celebrating everything. Celebrating everything and also celebrating just the very simple. Right? Celebrating a moment in time, repeated endlessly. Is that my mama in the chat? No. My mother does watch the stream, but she's not very technologically literate, so Facebook is Facebook is what her generation uses now. It's interesting how these social media platforms have such strong generational divides. So I do cross-stream this on Facebook and on YouTube, actually. So if you want to see recordings of my streams, you can go to my YouTube channel, and you can see all of them, going back to 2015. I've been doing this for quite some time. So I cross-stream on Facebook exclusively so that my mother can watch. And maybe she'll be watching this right now. Probably not. She doesn't watch all the way through. Because it's a little boring. But my mother's never in the chat. Sub, this is my natural hair. It's a little messy. It looks better when I bathe, but I didn't bathe today. But yeah, I've never dyed my hair. The channel is called Yahweh Echad. I guess it's not actually linked in my, it's not linked in my bio, right? Because on my website, I just have my like, Teresa Kaddish YouTube channel linked. I should link that one, because that's the channel I'm actually posting to. But yeah, I think if you just type in English, like Yahweh, like, don't type it in Hebrew, type it in English, or in Latin, Yahweh Echad, you should find it. That's the notification. I've got to meet with my lawyer in 10 minutes. I like seaweed. Boop, boop, boop. Is it virtual? Is what virtual? Oh, my meeting? Yes. Yes, my meeting is virtual. I'm going to stay right here. It's going to look just like this. Except instead of talking to you, I'll be talking to a lawyer. I am streaming a little bit later than I normally stream, right? Like, usually I stream an hour or two before this. I had a very late morning. But it was a nice, calm, restful morning, so I can't complain. But yeah, Bacha, I stream every morning, basically. Like, I don't know, probably it's 5 days a week, these days. I don't stream on Sunday because I have a standing commitment on Sunday mornings. But most other days I stream, and I'm not streaming on Wednesday because I have a meeting on Wednesday. Okay, so it's not all the time, but it's like at least every other day. How early do I wake up every day? I wake up really slowly, Erica. Good morning, Kaylee. Like, usually I wake up at dawn because my partner comes into my bed, and they wake up at dawn, and they have more energy than me in the early morning. So, like, I wake up at dawn at, like, 6 a.m., and, I, usually lay around in bed until 8 or 9 in the morning, and then I take a shower and get dressed and do my makeup and blah, 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 and I really try to be streaming by 10. Like, ideally, I'd be streaming by 8 or 9, but, like, I don't know, I've shifted. Like, there was a time, like, a year or two ago, where I was much more of an early morning, like, I would, like, up and out of bed at dawn, and now I'm, like, it takes me 2 hours, because my mental health is so poor. It's worse than it's, in a long-term sense, it's worse than it's ever been. And so I just don't have energy, and so it's hard for me to get up in the morning. But I get up, and I get ready. I make myself look publicly presentable, and then I stream. And I'm streaming like an hour later than I typically stream, because I had a slow morning. But I usually stream around this time. Matcha, how old is your kid? You have 5? I thought you just had 1. I think you've only mentioned 1 to me before. You've got 5 kids? That's crazy. The youngest is 18. So they're mostly out of the house? Hello from California. Your heart lives in the wild. And where does your body live? Used to be religious, didn't use contraception. That's how it goes. And then you got divorced. Good for you. There's 2 children living in America. You're on your way to Disneyland. Have fun with that. Literally on your way to the airport. Well, that's exciting. Have you ever been to Disneyland before? After 25 years. And how many of those 25 years did you want to be divorced for? Maybe it was a very happy 25 years, and then you're just like, all right, now we're done. You have 2 children at home, and 1 son is married, so you got some grandkids. "21. You wanted to be divorced for 21 of those 25 years? Only the first 4 years were tolerable? Oh, gosh. That sounds hard. Brainwashed. Wash your hair, but not your brain. You've been through quite a lot, my friend. Would I ever get married? Yeah. I think I will get married. We talk about it from time to time. It's all good now. You figured out where you needed to be. And you got there. And you feel good about your life. What a thing. Alright. Well, as I said, I have to go talk to a lawyer to figure out a lease agreement because communes are silly. But it was really lovely to spend this morning with you. I had a fantastic time. I hope you did too. And yeah, if you would like to support the stream, please check out the links in my bio, Patreon, or a one-time tip. It does make a huge difference. And I will see you here tomorrow. Yes, I will see you here tomorrow to say these words once more. Okay, I hope you have a really lovely day. Farewell.